IoT devices such as Chromecasts, Rokus, smart TVs, soundbars, Wi-Fi plugs, all that stuff, they're all very insecure devices. Now, in my review of the USW Flex Mini, which I will link to up here, I talked about how I see it being really useful behind a TV entertainment rack because I can have 3 ports for IoT devices, my Roku TV, my soundbar, and my PlayStation, while still having a leftover port that can be on my main LAN for my HTPC, because that's a desktop computer that I install everything on and I trust. Now, you all asked me to make a video about my IoT network, so that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna create a secure IoT network for all of your devices, complete with Plex pass-through, smart plug pass-through for local control on the same network, and the ability to have your Chromecasts still be discoverable by your phone on the secure network. Let's get into it. Okay, so taking a look at the dashboard on our UDM Pro here, that's what I'm going to be using for this video. Keep in mind, these same principles apply to just about any of Ubiquiti's unified line of routers. First off, we're going to come take a look at our settings. So coming into settings, I'm using the old settings just because I vastly prefer them. And what we want to do is come in here and create a new network. So if we come over here to networks, create new, we want to create a corporate network. So I'm going to create a new corporate network called IoT. And that's just what we're gonna call the network. And for VLAN, we're gonna use VLAN 107. I'm not sure why, but 107 is kind of the standard for IoT devices. So for gateway and subnet, we're gonna do 192.168.107.1/24. We can update our DHCP range, and that'll populate that down here for us. And I'm gonna do, just for the domain name, can't see me. Cool, because we're kind of blocking some traffic here. So next we want to create a Wi-Fi network so that way our IoT devices can join the network. So we're going to come up here to wireless networks, create new wireless network, and we can enter our SSID. I'm going to do MTS IoT, and we can make this WPA personal, and I'm just going to make the password. This is password 1. Cool, that's just my testing password for things. And for network down here, we want to select our IoT network. That will put anything connected to this Wi-Fi network on the IoT network. So we're gonna hit save, and now we have the basis of our network done. Next, we need to get into our routing and our firewall rules in order to actually segregate the networks and prevent our IoT devices from accessing devices on our main LAN. Now with networking, you have 3 rules. You have your local, you have your in, and your out. Now, local is stuff that happens within a network, within a VLAN, within a dedicated network. And in and out are a little bit confusing. Networking works a little bit backwards. It's based on the router itself. So if this cup is the router, in would be me pouring some sparkling fizzy water into the router. So it's coming from my network going into the router. And out would be going out of the router into my network. So that's how we have to think of things. So we want to be using LAN in because it's traffic that's coming from our network going into our router. And then the router would then distribute it to the other networks. Although in this case, we're going to be blocking it from doing so. So if I set this stuff down, we're going to come over to routing and firewall over here. We want to come up to firewall. LAN in. We have LAN in. Now, I use this UDM as my complete Unify setup for 2021, so we still have my rules in here for blocking LAN from guests and blocking guests from the main network. But what we want to do is we want to create a new rule. So we're going to come to create new rule. We're going to call this rule name block IoT from main LAN. So we want to have it drop the packets on all protocols. Come down here and we want network. So we're going to select our network is our IoT network. That's the source. So any traffic coming from the IoT network going to and destination, we're going to click on network, select networks. We're going to do LAN. So anything that's coming from our IoT network is going to get blocked from going to our LAN network. And we're going to hit save. Now, because we also have a guest network, we're going to want to do the same thing for that guest network. We don't want the IoT devices to see anything on the guest network. So we're going to create a new rule, block IoT from guest network. Again, we have drop, protocol is all, and we can come down here to network. Source is going to be our IoT network, and our destination is going to be our guests network, and we can hit save. Now, I like to separate things here, so we have our block stuff, and we have, we're gonna add our allow stuff up top. Now, this is great. If you don't want your devices to see anything in your LAN network, you can stop now, and this will work. But for me, because I'm a home user, I have smart TVs that I want to be able to see my Plex server, which is on my internal network. So what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna pass through our Plex server. I also wanna pass through ports that are used for these Casa smart plugs that I have that are controlling things like my little blue light here and my other lights back here. Now, my Stream Deck communicates with them locally over the network through Companion and TCP/IP, and it uses port 9999. So from right here, I can just turn them on and off. I don't need them phoning home out to the internet or anything like that, so I still need to have local control from my main LAN into our IoT LAN. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with the Plex thing first. We're gonna come over here to create new rule, and I'm just gonna call this allow Plex on IoT. So we're gonna change this action from drop to accept. Now here we have a list of all the ports that Plex uses. So I'm gonna break this off over here just so that way we can have all of this stuff here. And we're gonna select TCP and UDP. Now coming down here, we have our source. The source is coming from our network of our IoT network. And this time our destination isn't going to be a network, it's gonna be a port group. So we're gonna create a new port group, and I'm just gonna call this Plex ports, and we can add in port 32400. We can also add 1900. That's for a DLNA server, and controlling Plex through the Roku. So that's what I really want. So we can come down here and add in 8324. We can also add in for network discovery if we really care about that. We can do 32410. We can also do 32412, or 32412, 32413, and 32414. So essentially that's all of our Plex ports that we want our IoT network to be able to see. So we can hit save, and we're allowing anything from the IoT network to see the Plex server on these ports. So we can hit save, and I'm gonna move this up to the top. So that is our Plex stuff done. Now, if there are any other services that you use where you need to have connections between the networks, you can find the ports. If you can't find them online, you can use Wireshark and capture the output just by mirroring a port on a switch and then see what ports it's reaching out to. I happen to be able to just look up the Plex ports here, and I know based on Companion that the Casa smart plugs listen on port 9999. So that's what we're gonna add in next. I'm gonna create a new rule here. We're gonna do allow Casa status. Because the Casa plugs report their status to the app on my internal network, I want them to be able to send their data through. So what we're gonna do is accept, come down here and select our network, our IoT network, and come down to our destination. Again, we're gonna create a new port group. I'm just gonna call this Casa ports, or port for that matter. So we're gonna do 9999, and we can hit save. All right, so that should be our Casa smart plugs. And now if I just bring these up to the top here, and so now what we should have is a separate Wi-Fi network that all of our IoT devices can join, and those IoT devices can't see anything on our main network. The only things that they can see on our main network is the Casa plugs can report their status to the app that's running on my phone within my local main network, and our devices such as our Rokus and smart TVs can see my Plex server down in my basement. Now for the Chromecasts, they're a little bit different and a bit tricky. So if I want to send a video from my phone here on my main network to a Chromecast on the IoT network, I need to enable MDNS. MDNS is multicast DNS, so to do that, we want to come down here to Services, MDNS right up here in the middle, and turn it on. I already have it on from when I was doing this earlier in testing, but you flip that switch on and hit Apply Changes. Thank you, Chris at Crosstalk. I was having issues with this, and I remember he had talked about a Chromecast having an issue, and so I rewatched his video on Secure IoT. It's a great video. I'll also have it linked up here. But thanks for pointing that out, because I would have missed that. All right, so now that should be everything done. We now have an access point that is broadcasting both our IoT network as well as our main network, but we need to set up some switch profiles. So let's get into switch ports. So if we come up here to devices, we can select our Flex Mini Switch, and I'm gonna take these ports here and we can assign them a port profile. I can put them on the 107 network and hit apply. Again, 107 network, hit apply, and the 107 network and hit apply, while still leaving our main LAN network on port 5 here. So that's how you would configure a Ubiquiti managed switch for something like that. But I also have this dumb Netgear switch here. Now, this Netgear switch is about as useless as it gets in terms of understanding VLANs. It's kind of like Michael's nephew.
Soy ice cream. Did you get real ice cream?
Or enough for everyone?
No, man, there's no list. But I got bagel chips.
My favorite part of an ice cream party, the bagel chips.
Clutch cream run, bro.
So if we want this to be on our IoT network, we're gonna need to connect it to a managed switch and give it only that IoT network. So in order to do that, I have this switch connected to port 1 on my UDM Pro. So I can come up to the UDM Pro, come over here to ports, select port 1, edit, switch port profile, IoT. And we can hit apply. And now any device that I have connected to this Netgear switch that's connected to port 1 on my UDM Pro will be on the IoT network. And that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for watching. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments below. And what other devices do you use that you might need to actually have, port forwarded through into your main network? But anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. I will have the devices that I talked about here, except for the dumb little Netgear switch, linked down in the description below. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.